What's up, my friends? I'm Alexandra. I'm founder of Life with Herpes. I'm excited to be here with you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. The last couple of lives I've done, I have had to jump off with like 50, 60 questions that I didn't get a chance to get to. So this is your opportunity to ask your questions. I will answer them as they come in, as I see them coming across. So I'm excited for that. I go live daily, or at least I do my best to go live daily. I'm a mommy. I have a little boy, so sometimes that doesn't happen. You can probably hear him in the background. He is like, mommy, mommy, mommy. So I'm going to be quick, but I want to go on with you guys and spend some time. So for those of you that don't know me, I was diagnosed with herpes. First of all, my name's Alexandra, and I was diagnosed with herpes originally in 2003 for HSV1 oral, and then 2011 for HSV2 genital. The reason why I specify like 1 oral and 2 genital is most of the time people associate oral herpes with 1 and genital herpes with 2, but that is not the case. There's a lot of crisscrossing going on. I just did a poll over on Instagram asking my community how many people have genital HSV1, meaning oral herpes down there. How many people have that? And 80% of the people that answered that poll have genital HSV1. So oral herpes down there is becoming extremely common, more common than actually being diagnosed with the oral HSV1. So that's really important to know because we don't think that that oral herpes can be transmitted to our partners by doing things with our mouth. A lot of times we just think that oral is oral and it's going to stay oral, and that's that. So yeah, people don't think that could be transmitted. So with that, what do we learn from that? What's important from that is that we need to disclose we have oral herpes. There's millions of people living with oral herpes that don't think that that's anything to discuss, and which is a good thing in the sense that they're not living with the stigma. So there is positive in that. They're not living with the stigma of, oh my gosh, I have herpes, right? They're just like, oh, whatever, I get this from time to time. What they don't know, and I think it's really important that we realize, is people with oral herpes like myself, we need to disclose that we need to disclose that people need to make a decision. It can potentially be transmitted genitally. So this is your opportunity to ask your questions here. I will get through them. Like I said, the last couple of days I've had to get off and I've had like 50, 60 questions that I didn't get to. So I do my best to get through the questions. If I don't get to your question, I apologize. I'm just going through them as fast as I can. And of course, if this information is like, oh my gosh, I know someone that needs to hear this, please share this information. The reason why I started this was so that you don't have to feel alone, isolated, angry, and so that you can find a community and educate yourself on this information. So thank you for the follows, and of course, share this with people that you think need it. Am I related to AOC? No, I'm not, but I have been told that a couple of times. I think it's the name, but anyways, don't men need L-arginine for erection? So arginine is essential amino acid. What it does is it helps with cardiovascular health. It also helps with vascular health. It improves our athletic performance. So yes, it is helpful for a natural Viagra. Arginine fuels the herpes virus. So it helps it replicate it. It speeds up replication. For some men or women, arginine may not be an issue. You might be like, dude, I don't get outbreak, or I'm asymptomatic. Most people with herpes are asymptomatic. So for the majority of people, arginine is not going to be an issue. It's the people that are getting back-to-back outbreaks where arginine can be an issue by having lots of arginine in your diet or supplementing with arginine supplements. You like vanilla? It's the finest of the flavors. All right. Can an IgG blood test be false positive? So false positive, false negatives, all that. You're more likely to get a false negative for a blood test than you are a false positive. So what I'm saying is you're more likely to test negative accidentally than you are to test positive accidentally. If you test positive, you're positive. Like, it's very rare that would be an accident. So the IgG blood test is what we're doing is we're looking for the antibodies in the blood. When we have antibodies in the blood, then it means that we are carriers or host the herpes virus. It can't, what I mean, you're more likely to get a negative herpes test if, I'll explain that, is it takes our body a while for the antibodies to develop, meaning you could have come into contact with the virus, you could in fact have the virus, but it can take your body weeks to months before your body develops the antibodies. So if you test in that window of time where you haven't created the antibodies, then you may test negative but actually be positive for it. Okay. Is it always contagious? No, it's not always contagious. It's contagious really during two times. Number one would be you have an outbreak, an active lesion, paper cut, an active sore, or two, when the virus is shedding. The downside about that is we don't know when the virus is shedding. Typically, you're asymptomatic for that. So that's basically why 70% of transmissions occur without an outbreak. That's a really good point to say, this is why I need to disclose to a partner that I have herpes. How do you know when an outbreak is happening? You have a sore or a lesion or tingly sensations, itchy sensations that usually appears with a sore or a blister. It can look like a paper cut. It can look like one blister or a cluster of blisters. Why is this on my For Your page? Well, 80% of the population has herpes, so maybe, I don't know, maybe that's why. It's just an educational purpose. How do you keep your husband from getting it? That's a great question. I get that all the time. Like, how does your husband not have it? So in the beginning of our relationship, I took the antiviral. I took that daily to help keep the virus dormant in my system. We're at the point in our relationship where my husband doesn't care if he gets it. I do my best. Obviously, he doesn't want it, and I don't want to transmit it. But I take Lysine daily, which this is the one I take. It's Natural Cure Labs, well, formerly known as Natural Cure Labs, Palmera Health. So I take this daily. And what it does is it helps prevent the replication of the virus. So it's a natural way to do that. I also communicate with him. I talk to him about, like, hey, I have something, I feel a sensation, or I don't feel a sensation. So that's personally what I do to help prevent it. If this is something you're interested in, I have it linked in the bio. Thank you for talking about this. Yay, the destigmatization. Yeah. Destigmatizing really anything. We need to learn about it and learn to walk in that person's shoes to understand where they're coming from. This is not a this is a skin to skin, human to human transmission. It has nothing to do with promiscuity, has nothing to do with anything like that, being a dirty person, a clean person. It has to do with you came in contact with somebody that had it. How do you suppress it completely? That's a loaded question. There's lots of people that are trained to do that. It has to do with a strong immune system. It has to do with adding lysine to your diet. That's another big one. It has to do with the longer you've had the virus, the less likely you are to have outbreaks. You can take the antiviral. That is kind of like an FDA way of keeping it suppressed in your body, but it's a prescription drug that you need to take. You're saying you take Valtrex, would have monthly outbreaks. How unlikely am I to transmit it without medication? So I don't know every person's extremely different. I've read different studies ranging from a 10% chance to a 4% chance. So I don't necessarily like to quote, like, you have a blank percent chance, because every person's body chemistry, everything is going to be a little bit different. But on the general basis, if you're not having an outbreak, you're not taking the antiviral, and you're not using a latex condom, if you're a woman with herpes, you have a 4% chance of transmission to a man without herpes. If you're a man with herpes, no condom, no antiviral, no outbreak, I think I got that in the right order, you have a 10% chance of transmission. So again, I would go with communicate with your partner and see what you guys both feel comfortable with. Can you donate blood? Absolutely. It's not a blood disease, it's a skin disease. That's how a lot of people actually find out that they have herpes, is they donate blood and they tell them. Thank you for all the follows, you guys. I really appreciate it. Oh, you accidentally reported as unsafe content because you were driving. No worries. No worries. No worries. I don't know if there's a way to undo unsafe. But it's telling me that some of my comments were filtered to protect the community's experience. So maybe that happened. No worries, Megan or Meg. Do I have outbreaks? I do. I do get outbreaks genitally, not so much orally. I was told not to donate blood when I have an outbreak by the donation center. I did not know that. Potentially it's because your antibody count would be higher. I'm not really sure why they would say that. What's a good medicine to take for that? So you can be prescribed Valtrex, which is the branded antiviral, or there's generic, which is Valacyclovir or Acyclovir are the generic brands that you can be prescribed to keep the virus dormant. Thank you for the follows. How often do you have outbreaks? You know, for me, orally, I've only had like 3 or 4, and I've had this for 19 years. Genitally, I do get them more often. I get them probably, I don't know, like 6 times a year. It got blocked right while I hit send, then it went to yours. I'm sorry. Oh, you're fine. Don't worry, Megan or Meg, whatever. Where do you get that pill from? The antiviral you have to get prescribed by a doctor. I like to use Herp Alert. Herp Alert's my favorite way to either get diagnosed. They are a telehealth company, or they can prescribe you medication. And then the Lysine, it's all linked in my bio for you. You can check that out. If you're taking the Valacyclovir every day and use a protection, can you transmit it? You can still transmit it, but it's going to be very, very unlikely. It's going to be the best way to protect your partner. Anything you do to help the pain from an outbreak? I like to use the products that we created. I have the Rescue Balm, which has eucalyptus and peppermint helps with the pain. And there's other things in here that are helping with the pain. But it also helps with wound healing. It helps with the anti-inflammation, and it just helps overall with the herpes virus. There's also Lysine in here that helps with that as well. I have it linked. Also, Epsom salt baths are really helpful because it calms your nervous system. And if you add some essential oils in your Epsom salt bath, that can be really, really helpful, especially the magnesium. That can help you sleep if you're experiencing pain. We also have some Epsom salts for you. It's the recovery soak. There's 3 soaks in this one, so it's a lot of soaks. It smells amazing. And this will help with the pain. It helps with the itch, the tingle. Do you get many outbreaks? I had the worst one ever a year ago and haven't had one since. That's awesome. I had the worst one ever genitally about 2 weeks ago. I still have a scar from it. It was pretty gnarly. How did I transmit it? I have never transmitted it to anybody. Based on what I know, I have not transmitted herpes. My husband has it and I don't. It really is just about communication. Exactly, it's about communication. It also is about people who don't know they have it. Most men hate getting tested. It's a blood test. Yeah, a lot of people don't know they have it, and that's when it gets transmitted. Its roots are in promiscuity, period. So I get really passionate when somebody brings that up. So at some point, it is a numbers game. Absolutely. Herpes is a numbers game, just like anything is a numbers game. If you drive drunk 100 times, you are more likely to get a DUI than if you drive drunk 1 time, obviously, right? If you have sex with 100 people, you obviously are more exposed than if you have sex with 1 person. So yes, at some level, it is a numbers game. However, there are many, many, many people that were not promiscuous and still got herpes. There are many, many people that are in monogamous relationships and still get herpes. There are many, many people that were virgins when they got married and still get herpes, because HSV1 oral is very, very, very common. 2 out of 3 people have it, and most people don't know it can be transferred genitally. You can be in a monogamous relationship and your partner can cheat on you. You can have it and not even know you have it. You can be getting tested for STIs and not be asking for a herpes test and not know you have it. So I understand where you're coming from, that it's a promiscuous thing, but I really, really, really like to destigmatize that, because whether or not you are promiscuous, in fact, there's a lot of people that have multiple partners that are way, way, way more conscious of what they're doing, and they get tested more often. So yeah, I definitely don't want people to feel like that adds to the stigma and saying like, oh, well, you have this because you were promiscuous. Not necessarily. It's about people who don't know they have it. Yeah, and thanks, Juicebox. You said, yeah, you could be in a relationship and get it. What if you take the antiviral but still have itching sensations? I would say that you should talk to your doctor. It may mean you need a different antiviral. It may mean you need to up your dose, or you should potentially add Lysine. If you're still getting tingly sensations, you could be contagious. You're saying it could be about the person who's dating you that could be lying to you. Yeah, potentially the person may know they have herpes and not disclose. Did you have a C-section? No, I had a vaginal birth. So you take Lysine and not medication from the doctor. Does it do the same? I take Lysine instead of the Valtrex. The Valtrex is definitely, how do I say? It does a much better job of preventing outbreaks. I just am at the point, I don't really want to take medications. I want to take natural things. So anyways, this is why I take this. Hi, Alexander. Thank you for being you. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much. Hell no, keep that blood. Can the outbreak occur anywhere on the skin? It can. It prefers the oral and genital region, but it can go to other locations. Like I get one on my tailbone. What do outbreaks look like? They can look like a paper cut, a blister, or a cluster of blisters. Everyone should be speaking with an actual doctor, not TikTok. I couldn't agree more. I am not a doctor. I have just been living with herpes for 2 decades, so I've made it something that I am a expert in it. But if you have questions, you absolutely should talk to your doctor. My favorite way is Herp Alert. They have telehealth doctors that you can talk to, and they are specific for herpes. So thanks for that recommendation live from the beach. I know you have very strong opinions here, and yeah, there is a lot of great things that can happen from talking to a doctor. You say here you're a wax specialist. Am I still able to wax a client with herpes? I have not been to esthetician school, but I wouldn't wax them with an actual outbreak. I don't know if that's something you ask people. So that would be a really great question to maybe talk to another esthetician about. But I can tell you that you have many clients that have herpes that just don't tell you, because people don't disclose that unless you're asked. What's the difference between Valtrex and Lysine? Valtrex is a drug. It's an FDA drug. Lysine is a supplement. Lysine is a protein that we consume in a lot of the foods we eat. It helps with our muscle building. It helps with our tendons. It's something that's essential. We need it. So it actually helps prevent the replication of the virus. Victor's mom says it has nothing to do with promiscuity. You got it from the first person you slept with. Yeah, absolutely. What is your dating experience? Are most men understanding and open and minded? When I was dating, I had a mixture. The people that really mattered didn't care. The people I didn't care about, some of them really didn't care. And then there was like a couple that were like, okay, thanks. So that was that. Have I heard of Synergy? I have heard of Synergy. I don't know that much about it though. I miss you. I miss you too. All right, guys, I've got to go. I have a little boy that needs me. And I just want you to know I really appreciate you guys being here. Let me know what questions you have. I keep posting videos. I keep going live. I keep trying to educate everybody. Again, this is linked for you in the bio if you have questions. Same with other herpes products are linked in the bio. Again, I'm just here to educate and do everything I can to help break the stigma. All right, guys, have an awesome day, and I will see you soon in the next video. Why didn't my son get herpes? Because I didn't have an outbreak at the time of delivery. All right, bye, guys. Oops.